headed by Charley! And then
To Spencer. Her left-footed ball headed by Charley in it!
let's go. My name's Noah Lack. This is another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. And today, I am joined by Hoover, Alabama native.
Yes.
Okay. Vanderbilt Commodore soccer alum.
Yes.
Angel FC forward, absolute stud, Simone Charley. Thank you so much for joining me. But Simone, we got to skip the small talk because in order for you to be at your best, you have to have a full stomach, else you feel lightheaded when you play, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought to make sure we got through the podcast, do you want some Mentecas? Do you want these before we begin?
I would love to have
Okay,
these.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, wait, this is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you like one?
No, oh, yeah, absolutely. Actually, yes, because I have a high metabolism as well. Because before we, get to building this business,
Company. That's hard work. You burn a lot of calories.
Yes, you do. You burn a lot of calories because it's brain power. But no, I'm just playing. But thank you so much for joining me. You can actually eat it.
Would you like one?
Yeah.
Please.
If you're just listening to the audio version, it might be like a 20-second break here. All right, now that we're fueled up, you just came off an Achilles injury. You're working your way back. I'm going to act like I'm the first reporter in LA media to ever ask you this question this fall. How are you feeling, and how's everything going with rehab?
Yeah, I've been feeling pretty good. I got out of the boot about a month ago, which is exciting because now I can really start doing things and building strength back. So right now rehab consists of a lot of calf raises and just trying to get stronger and work my way back on the field.
Yeah. You're in the middle of your season right now. Obviously, you can't help the team like LA wants you to. But what have been your observations with how the team's going, and where do you think we can finish?
Yeah, so right now we're making a playoff push. We didn't have the best start, but recent games we've been picking up a lot of points, getting some wins, getting some ties, and so now it's grind time. We're working hard, and we have a good shot at playoffs if we can get the job done.
Can we expect a late edition if Angel FC gets the playoffs, or is that premature?
I would love that, but I think I'm learning a lot of patience because with an Achilles injury, you have to be smart because you don't want to push it too much.
Right.
So I would love that, but I don't think my PTs would.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good thing I'm not your PT. I would get you out there sooner. But it's never too early to start thinking about, moves outside the pitch. It doesn't mean you're not focused on the soccer stuff, but I think I want to give sort of this opportunity to get your creative juices flowing because you know who you play for, right? Angel FC has a ton of killer investors and owners of the team.
Yeah.
And hopefully you play as long as you want for the club. But at some point, it comes to an end. Hopefully, it's just the beginning of something else. And maybe today, we can build a business together in the next 20 to 25 minutes. And we could maybe bring something to the likes of maybe an Alexis Ohanian to pitch, to go from ideation to go to market. What do you think?
That sounds like a great plan.
Okay, so you can think of this as us as co-founders.
Okay.
But my job is just to ask the questions. You're the boss, and you just say no, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. You can veto me anytime. I'm very opinionated, but you can veto me anytime, okay?
Okie doke.
Okay, so first of all, I need to understand, what are you interested in? Industries. I know you had a bit of healthcare studies at Vanderbilt, sociology. What are some industries that you're interested in? Let's start there.
Yeah, so for undergrad, I did psychology and sociology.
Okay.
And then medicine, health, and society for grad school. But I think just being a female athlete, it's kind of just having these years as a pro has kind of whet my appetite in sports business and just the marketing side of women's sports. One thing that I think would be the next step for women's sports is making sure that, they're getting exposure and being on TV and having people have the ability to actually support them, by being able to watch them on TV. And I feel like that's something that's become a passion of mine.
Okay.
I'm interested in media for female athletes. Yeah.
Okay, so right now I'm getting let's build the brands of these athletes more. Let's get them on a bigger platform.
Yeah.
You know, leveraging media.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting agency vibes. So
Agency.
what do you is that not what you were thinking? Like,
Yeah. I think.
meaning like if you partnered with Simone and Company, like if that was your brand rep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Female athlete agency. If I know I'm with Simone, I'm going to get better speaking opportunities, social media boost, or like brand reimage. You know, that's what I mean by agency. But we don't have to go that direction. If you don't, we could switch it. Like, like that's. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall here.
Yeah. I think what I more so had in mind was kind of like bigger scale, and so I think
talk to me.
part of the issue with like within women's sports is that like it's not on TV, so it's really hard to be a women's sports fan if you're not
watching.
living. Yeah, if you don't live like in a city that has an NWSL team or WNBA team, and yeah, women's sports should be on TV more. And so I would love to maybe do like a broadcasting company. Originally I was like only shows women's sports, but I feel like that's not the answer. Like we want equality. We want it to just be like women's sports to just casually be on ESPN. That would be the goal. And so I would feel like I'd like to have a broadcasting company that just like 50% women's sports, 50% male sports. So then it's just like you just turn on the TV and you're just watching sports.
So you said you want to do this at a big scale, right?
Yes.
You know, are we competing with ESPN to create another broadcasting channel, or is it something where we'd work with you'd want to work with ESPN to block out a time or a set of days where the showings are 50-50? Or is this something where we just push ESPN to lobby? Like, where I'm getting at is, you know, some things could be a business, but other things could just be efforts to move a media company to accomplish the goal you want. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to figure out if we're about to do David and Goliath here, or like what's going on before I sign up. Before I sign up for this, you know, like
yeah. I mean, what is the stat? 4% of television has women's sports on it. Like when it comes to like ESPN, the other 96% are male sports. I feel like that's something that has been highlighted so many times and it doesn't really seem like they care. And so I feel like I'm all good for an underdog story.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we start locally somewhere.
Okay.
In a big market.
Like LA.
And maybe there is the LA Sportswomen Network where actually no, we can't. We want it to be equal, so we just say we got to work on the title. So I don't want to throw out titles yet because that'll be a whole nother thing. But maybe we like buy a slot for a station, and then you have the jurisdiction to put whatever you can air any sporting event you want once you like have this slot chosen out. Now, I'm not the media expert over here. I'm just here trying to write notes and like make sure we can pitch this at the end of this. But like, what if we started locally? But we started with local sports, right? Like we start with high school, right? We show women's soccer in high school, or the LA, the Pac-12. Also include the male, but like you said, you want a 50-50, boss. So I'm just repeating your words. You know how like when the Lakers on TV, sometimes they could be on ESPN, but other times they're also on the local networks here. You know, if you carved out, you know, it sounds like you want to create a TV network. It sounds like to what I'm hearing is like, if we're going big here, we need to create our own CBS or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a mouthful. That's a big. That's a lot to stomach.
Yeah, but I feel like that needs to happen.
For sure. Like, okay, now let's get into it. The product, you alluded to it. You mentioned a little 50-50, but what do you want to be broadcasting and showing?
Yeah, so I think of like the major sports leagues for women's sports.
Okay.
You have the NWSL, you have the WNBA, you have, I believe it's the NWHL, the Women's Hockey League. There's fast pitch softball.
Right.
Yeah, and I would love to create like a network where those games show just as often as NBA games and NFL games and all of the things.
Right.
And I also think it's important to have it where both men and women are being shown. That way, like, also, like, male viewers, if they wanted to watch women's sports, it's, like, all there together. Whereas I feel like if I was to just create one with just women's sports in it, you're, like, tailoring to a very specific audience.
Yeah.
I feel like the goal is to, like,
Get
normalize, like,
you don't
women's sports.
You don't want to box the dudes out.
Yeah.
You want the dudes to be involved.
Yeah. I
for
feel
sure.
like we're not trying to, like, tailor it to a specific audience. The goal is just women's sports is just the norm,
Right.
You know? So instead of having like a Sports Center top 10, whatever our network is, when we have our top 10, it's like intermixed of women's sports, men's sports, highlights, all the things. It's like split right down the middle. So then it's like your one-stop shop for all things sports, but like actually all things sports, not all things men's sports.
100%. I'm just writing this down because we're talking strategy right now. If there is a central show that, you know, shows highlights of this, like, how would you want that look? Or would you want to mimic it the same? Or, you know, how you have Neil Everett or RIP Stuart Scott, you know, how they would talk about, that's SportsCenter does the ESPN top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So would you want the same thing on our network? Or, you know, how would you want that shown?
Ooh, as in, like, would I want a top 10 or want, like,
Would you
a
want the
Sports Center,
would
but
you
like
want the
our version?
Yeah, like, would you want shows, or are you just looking for equal broadcasting of the
I
games?
see. Ooh.
Yeah, let's talk shows. I think we're
I think
because that could be
would-
interesting too.
I would want shows.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like that's the draw of a lot of the big networks. It's like, not only are you watching the games, but you're getting, like, people analyzing the games and, like, perspectives that you would normally get from, like, former pros and stuff like that. And I feel like that also draws in viewers. And so I would want the same analysis and same amount of analysis when it comes to women's sports and men's sports.
Got it. What if there was a crew that was NWSL, then you had former NBA players. They kind of do this on ESPN, but a lot of the sort of moderators are not tied to a specific sport. But there should be a sports show on this network, in my opinion, you can veto this, that has a group of 5 or 6 people, athletes from different sports leagues. So NBA, then over here's WNBA, NWSL, then you have NHL, and like just have this weird combination of people, and then maybe mix it up. So like they have to
Okay.
broadcast together,
Yeah.
even if they're not like super trained.
Okay.
I'll write it down. Write it down. We got to talk about the pricing model for this. Now, you pay for cable or you pay for YouTube TV, et cetera. Is this something that, you know, you want people to subscribe to, or is this something that you want to be sort of more regularly available, like ESPN or CBS?
Ooh. Like, do I want to do like a streaming type platform or?
Yeah, I mean, if you pay for YouTube TV, obviously you get access to all these channels. But you know, when you watch a boxing match, if it's a prize fight, you have to pay for that specific pay-per-view. My gut is telling me you don't want to sort of wall that off.
Yeah.
But I don't want to speak for you. So we have to figure out how we can make money outside of maybe ad revenue, of course, like the commercials. But that's something else, you know, we should think about.
Yeah. Fair. No, I wouldn't want there to be a paywall.
Okay.
I would love it to just be like accessible. So what? I'm not exactly sure what that would look like. though.
Okay.
So is that like ESPN just on cable television? Is that I guess that's the equivalent.
And you don't have to even answer this now. We can come back to it. But that's a question we'd have to think about in this process. We can move on to, let's assume that we're getting asked about market size. Because we have to explain why this is important, like why there's a big market for this, to get investment to build this.
Okay.
And so let's talk about the market here. Like, who do we want watching our network?
We would want sports fans watching our network, whether that's a man, whether that's a woman. I think if you look at like sports participation rates of kids growing up between boys and young girls, they're about the same. And so who's to say that little girls wouldn't want to grow up watching female athletes on TV? And I feel like we're missing such a huge part of the market, just operating under the assumption that they wouldn't want to watch TV or watch women who are crushing it on TV, and have people to like aspire to be. And so
we would really want this to influence the younger generation, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like a lot of our old uncles, look, they're going every Sunday to football.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie to you, I don't know if they're gonna be hooked on the NWSL at like 60 years old.
Fair
You know what I'm
enough.
saying? You can't really
Yeah.
teach your old dog new tricks. Like, you know what I'm
100%.
saying? So it's gonna be hard to get me to watch darts and stuff like at my age. I mean, I could, I watch sometimes, but it should be Gen Z tailored. Just my suggestion.
Ooh. In the same way that like little boys are like socialized to become sports fans.
Right.
I feel like the same way little girls can be too. And we just excluded that entire part of the market. So this network would be able to like do that, but actually for little girls too. And so now we're reaching twice as many people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's great.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
huge audience that we've been neglecting. And
Yeah.
so I think, like you said, Gen Z too, like they're definitely more open to that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so shall we review this and like as a whole before we go pitch it off to the investors? Basically, we have a Gen Z sports network platform that's challenging ESPN because we are putting in equal representation, men's and women's sports, and our highlights are like 50-50, and our shows are this combination of athletes, like athlete-driven shows from every sports network. But now we just do it. We're going to do it better than everyone else.
Of course.
And with the purpose of giving more exposure to the marketing side of women's sports, we don't want to be. It's not a media agency. Last thing. What is like? Give a name for this network. We can't do this without a name.
Oh, that's,
Right?
That's kind of hard.
That's tough. I kind of like. I don't know. I don't know. Should I ask ChatGPT?
You should.
Okay. We got time.
Because other sports networks, they're not actual sports networks. They're men's sports networks. Like, there's little asterisks by that. So I'm like, should we just be like the sports network? Or just like...
The sports network.
Yeah.
Like
emphasis.
Like all caps.
Yeah.
The sports network.
It's like stylized.
Yeah.
The in all caps.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it too, and they talk, it's kind of like the chicken and egg dilemma when it comes to like supporting women's sports. Like, it's like, oh, you have to get more fans at the game and things like that. But if it's not marketed and people can't support it, then it's like, well, then how would you expect people to like show up at games?
Well, I think it does take an investment, a blind faith. And that's why I really love these new clubs, Angel FC and Bay FC, because these investors that are coming from bigger sports leagues and bigger tech like investors, they are betting on the future of women's sports. And I think that's huge.
And I think you see that with Angel City FC and the fact that like our games, it's like nothing to sell out a game. It happens pretty often actually. And it's like,
yeah, no, you guys are popping.
Because of how much they've invested.
Right.
It's like, yeah, if you invest, people come. And so in order to like help cultivate that, like this can actually be a thing.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
Oh, we got a name? Uh-oh.
I got 10. Let's say for the sake of time, we have to choose one of these 10.
Okay.
It may not be perfect, but company titles change all the time.
Okay.
So I'm going to read off these 10 really quick.
Okay.
Sports Unity, All-Star Sports Network, Equal Play Sports, Inclusive Sports Live, Total Sports Equality, Balanced Sport Network, Fair Play Sports, Unison Sports Hub, Egalitarian Athletics TV, Harmony.
Egalitarian, that's so... Egalitarian Athletics
Egalitarian
TV,
Sport.
that's so much.
Harmony Sports Network.
I'm not a big fan of the like unity, inclusion.
No,
blah,
I'm
blah,
not either.
Because I'm
not
like,
either.
nah.
What about?
We're athletes and we're all on TV. Like, that's it. That's the tweet.
I think
There's
out
the
of all these,
All-Star.
Harmony, Fair Play. No.
No, because then it's just like...
Screw me.
Sorry. I would do, of those names, I would pick All-Star. Because I feel like
All-Star Sport Network.
Yeah.
Sports Network.
Yeah.
Boom. I got no problem with that.
Because the other ones, it feels like a little pat on the head. Like, see, look, we're giving you guys a little chance. Like,
Right,
I'm
and
not a
that's
fan of
that's
that.
not
the point.
And that turns
The
off
point-
the people you want
Yes!
to reel
The
in.
point is that, like, this is just sports. It's not
Right.
like women's sports and men's sports.
Yeah.
No, we're just showing sports. Period.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, exactly. So in review, right, we have All-Star Sports Network, and we're going to, give equal exposure and have shows that have athletes you wouldn't expect to be in the same room talking about sports together.
Yeah.
Alexis, we're ready. Anything else on this, or you feel like we're good to wrap up on our business and start to take it to investors?
I think we're ready. I'm pretty excited about
Well,
this one.
Simone, I'm excited about this one as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and best of luck in your rehab process. And let's go Angel FC the rest of the way.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's a wrap.